Well, I started at school, I suppose, in the school plays. I was in an all-boys school, so I had to do my share of the Anne Boleyns and the Lady Macduffs and all that. And then I graduated to male roles. From grammar school, I went up to Cambridge, and I acted all the time in Cambridge. I did the academic work as and when I could. And at the end of Cambridge, I wrote begging letters to various repertory companies, some of whom replied, and one of whom offered me an audition, which was the Birmingham Repertory Theatre. And I stayed there for the next 3 years. I hadn't been to drama school, so that was my drama school.
And that was a good apprenticeship, was it?
It was wonderful. It was all practical experience. It was 4 weekly rep, and I stayed there for 3 years, so we got through quite a lot of plays in that time. And luck came my way. I'd been dogged by good luck in my career, and one of the first pieces of good luck was I was playing Shakespeare's Henry VIII at Birmingham when Laurence Olivier was out front. One Wednesday matinee. We hadn't been told he was in. I mean, we couldn't have got on the stage had we been told he was there. And he came on afterwards and said some nice things and offered me a job at the then Chichester Festival Theatre, which was in its second year then, and that company became the original National Theatre at the Old Vic, and I stayed with him for the next 9 years.
On television, people still talk about I, Claudius, but your link with one particular Shakespeare play has been talked about for decades, and that's Hamlet, of course, not just for your portrayal of Hamlet, but even before then, working with Peter O'Toole and Lord Olivier, of course.
The Hamlet was the original production at the National Theatre in October 1963 at the Old Vic, directed by Olivier, starring Peter O'Toole, and I played Laertes. And it's a night I shall never forget because it was my birthday. It was my 25th birthday. And we had a party afterwards in the stalls and up on the stage. The buffet was on the stage. And I was so thrilled. I was telling everybody it was my birthday. And there were lots of glamorous and famous people there, being the first night at the National Theatre. And at some point, everything stopped, and Shirley Bassey sang Happy Birthday from the stage. It was one of my great nights.
You recently played Claudius.
Yes, in Kenneth Branagh's film of Hamlet. His 4-hour version of the play, indeed, yes. And I was thrilled to do that. Absolutely thrilled. So I suppose it'll be Polonius next.
Well, there's hardly anybody left, really.
There's nobody else.
But I suppose the plaudits, the awards, and of course the knighthood are great. But it must give you great pleasure to hear that somebody like Kenneth Branagh was inspired by you.
Yes. Ken and I have become great friends. I always remember it because when I played the Hamlet in 1977, which is when Ken saw it as a teenager. And 2 years later, I was doing another production of it at the Old Vic in London, and I had a letter from a student at RADA saying, could he come to talk to me about Hamlet and about theatre in general? And so I said yes, and this boy came in full of confidence and swagger, and we talked and we got on. It was fine. And then about a year later, he was released from RADA to do a play called Another Country. And he was suddenly in all the papers, and I suddenly realised that the boy who'd come to the dressing room to talk to me about Hamlet was this boy that everybody was talking about, Kenneth Branagh. And then we fast forward, and we met, and he said, I'm going to play Hamlet professionally, and I think it's only right that I should ask you to direct me. So I did. I directed him on stage. And at that time, he said, I'm going to make a film of Hamlet someday, and when I do, I want you to play Claudius. Typical of Ken, he was true to his word.
Is there anything in the theatre, television or film that you haven't done that you really still want to do? You've done all the Shakespeare classics, the RSC, the National, you've done films, television like I, Claudius and so on.
I haven't sat by a kidney-shaped Hollywood pool and done that bit, you know, the Hollywood bit. I think I'm getting too old for it now. But you never know. You never know. The marvellous thing about this business is that you can go on till you drop, you know, and you never know what is round the corner. You never know.
Is there any particular medium you enjoy working in more than the others?
I think the theatre. I think the theatre's where my heart is, and is the love of my life, and where the most job satisfaction comes from, because you are in charge. You know, you're making the creative and artistic choices on the stage. In the movies or in television, really those choices are made by somebody else.